The Nasdaq gained 172 to 15,628. The S&P 500 added 37 points to 49.27. New York oil fell $1.23 to $76.78 per barrel. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening with a low temp dipping down to 32. Tomorrow, another great looking day with mostly sunny skies, a high of 58. We could see some showers on Wednesday, but still just a slight chance of some rain. We'll then climb into the low 60s with more sun than clouds for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Answering the call. Running in when everything you feel says run out. Pushing yourself beyond your known limits to help. Living to tell the story. Visit scvolunteerfire.org.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, it was such a busy weekend with so many big things to talk about. For a moment there, I thought about doing a host-free Monday night because I know you got a lot to get off your chest, but then I realized this program needs some direction tonight. That's why we are here, to make sure it stays on the rails. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Bergen, Pat Daniel. I hope you had a great weekend. Certainly you had a better weekend than Brad Brownell did. Oh, my goodness. Durham, Duke, ACC officials, Clemson, turnovers. Who do you blame? Seriously. Plenty of blame to go around for that Clemson loss. Who do you blame? Well, I know the easy blame, the right off the top of your head, right there in front of you, blame the officials. Clemson got called for this foul. Clemson didn't get that foul, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, there might be some validity to all that. We all know the history of every team that visits Tobacco Road. You got to take care of your business and not put the game in the position to be determined by officials' calls, because by and large, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt, whether it's against Puke or it's against the Blue Bellies.
By and large.
So if you're Clemson and you got the lead, a nice lead in the last 90 seconds, why do you turn the ball over 4 consecutive times? So you have to bear the brunt of the responsibility because you allowed the game to be put in a position where officials could make a difference. You had that game, Clemson. Look in the mirror. You had that game, and you turned it over. You handed it right over to Duke. So really, you're as much to blame as the officials' calls are to blame as well. And calls can go either way. It's all subjective, and that's why you've got, when you have a call, 50% of the people watching are in agreement and 50% disagree, depending on which way the call went, depending on which team you're rooting for. So you're right there with a chance to win that game and win in Durham for the first time since 1995, and you didn't take care of your business. And that's a shame because you obviously played well enough to be there to get it at the end, and you've got to close the deal in that situation. So we'll kick that around tonight. No foul language allowed, pun intended. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Also for Clemson, of course, easing the pain to every Tiger fan around the world is the fact that they got 3 football commitments over the weekend. They'll trade 4 basketball turnovers for 3 football commitments any day of the week, especially when it comes to offensive linemen, where the Tigers are making a concerted effort with Matt Luke as their new offensive line coach of beefing things up on the line of scrimmage in terms of better talents, highly regarded offensive linemen. They had 7 in for visits, got commitments from 2, and also picked up a defensive tackle today. So we'll talk all about that as we go through the recruiting report later on tonight. I mean, by now, you know who those players are. We'll talk more about them when we get to our recruiting report coming up a little bit later. Then you got the USC men who did take care of their business at home against Missouri to get to 17-3. Still not good enough to crack the AP top 25. They're close. They were 26th in points from the voting. 24 voters voted for the Gamecocks in the top 25. They got top 25 votes from 24 different voters, including one who voted them as high as 9th. That might be a bit of a stretch, but it's nice to know somebody thinks that highly of you. But 34 voters left the Gamecocks off the ballot for the top 25. So they did not quite get enough points to get into the top 25. They are 26th. And they go to play at Tennessee tomorrow night, where they will be big underdogs and win that game, and you're going to be in the top 25 in the near future. Of course, you still have to go to Georgia Saturday. So the Gamecocks facing a tough week of 2 tough road games at Tennessee and at Georgia. And then there are the South Carolina women. Went to that game as well. I was at the men on Saturday, the women on Sunday, and they just took care of their business. Just a little tough in the first quarter. Then they settled in. Cardoza has a huge game, 23 points for her. They were feeding her. Dawn Staley wanted her to get the basketball. They want her to be more aggressive. They want her to take it to the rim or towards the rim. And she did. She had a perfect fourth quarter from the field. And I'm sorry, third quarter. She didn't play in the fourth quarter. She had a perfect third quarter when she scored 13 of her 23. Didn't miss from the floor, didn't miss from the line. So another big win, and they are still unanimous number 1 in the AP ranking out today. If that's not enough, of course, you got the NFL games over the weekend. Feel terrible for Detroit fans. Terrible for Detroit fans. You know, I said to myself, when Campbell did not go for that touchdown late in the first half, I thought to myself, he's going against his better judgment. He's going against the grain because he goes for it more than anybody else on fourth down, but he opted for the points, and that put them up big at halftime, but it wasn't big enough. And maybe those 3 points, well, obviously, as the game played on and he opted not to go for field goals later, he needed those 3 points then, he needed those 3 points later, but you knock that in for a touchdown right before the half. You knock that in, if you can. That might have been the knockout punch, period. But for 2 straight games, the 49ers come back and pull one out of the fire. And, of course, what can you say about the Chiefs? They're just good. They're great coach, great defensive coordinator, very important key players who are the best in the game. It's just all come together for them, and they proved they could win on the road 2 games in a row, as Patrick Mahomes now wins a couple of playoff games on the road for the first time. So we're set for the Super Bowl, Kansas City, and San Francisco. So we got all that, Chris Bergen, to kick around tonight here on Sports Talk. Where do you want to begin peeling the onion?
Well, first off, I'll follow up on your comments about the championship games yesterday. You wonder if Baltimore is able to get the touchdown where the receiver catches it and he fumbles right before the goal line.
Yeah.
And Kansas City recovers for a touchback, how big a play that was. And, you can fault Dan Campbell for not going for the knockout punch, perhaps, at the end of the first half. But he did go a couple of times, as you pointed out, fourth down conversions in the second half that didn't work for him. So I don't know. I didn't necessarily disagree with them getting points, because if you don't get anything on that late drive, then you hand some momentum, which clearly San Francisco didn't need. But you hand some momentum to them going into the locker room at halftime, because that would be one of the rare stops their defense got in the first half. I thought Detroit was terrific in the first half. I don't know what happened in the second half, though. They couldn't do a thing. It was almost like the 2 teams went in and changed uniforms and came out in the second half, and San Francisco ran up and down the field, and Detroit couldn't do anything. And I'm like you, I was actually, not having necessarily a dog in the fight, but I did want to see Detroit win. I thought that would have been a cool story for the NFL, but My guess is Roger Goodell and everybody in New York is happy about San Francisco and Kansas City, plus the added bump that they'll get from non-football fans that Taylor Swift will be around for the Super Bowl. And, they'll wear that promotional muscle out as long as they can over the next 2 weeks.
Well, you know what Super Bowl Media Day is like. It's about everything but football. And, of course, they let in, quality journalists like ourselves. We can't get in. But if you happen to be some knucklehead with a YouTube channel that's got, 200,000 viewers or followers or whatever, but you know nothing about football, but you just want to go in there and ask personal questions that get clicks and views on your YouTube channel, you're going to get in there and ask all kinds of questions about that relationship. I wonder how stringent they will be on that day with him about hands off the questions about his personal life.
Boy, that's a great question, because my thinking is if you're the NFL, you want as much publicity as possible. Again, they don't have to worry about us. The three of us are going to watch the Super Bowl, whether it have been the two worst teams in the NFL or perhaps the two best teams in the NFL. It doesn't matter. They don't have to appeal to us. But every year, 100 and some odd million Americans watch the Super Bowl. I've always wondered what the other 200 plus million of our fellow countrymen are doing on Super Bowl Sunday, not watching the game. This will help close that gap, I would think, because you're going to have people that just want to tune in just to see Taylor Swift, find out what she's doing. I think she's actually touring the night or the day before the Super Bowl in Japan, and she can fly back from Tokyo to Las Vegas in about a day's time, and she'll be there for the game. So I can't imagine the NFL is going to put much in terms of restrictions on Super Bowl Media Day as soon as Travis Kelce takes the stand.
And then she's going to Australia. I have tickets. She better not blow off the one in Australia, because I have tickets for that concert in Melbourne right after the Super Bowl. So she better show up, because, put a lot of money into that trip. Okay. All right. So we got all that to discuss tonight. And anything else you want to bring up? Phone number 888-898-2525. Also, this afternoon, South Carolina's Board of Trustees approved a contract for Joe DeCamillis as the new special teams coordinator at South Carolina. This looks like a great hire. You know how much Shane Beamer, the emphasis he puts on special teams and special teams hires. He hired Pete Limbo to be that guy, to be the special teams coordinator. Obviously, that paid off for them in a great, great way. And now he's gone off and hired Joe DeCamillis, who for his entire career, except last year, has coached nowhere but the NFL. 9 different NFL teams, special teams coordinator at each stop. Last year, he worked with Steve Sarkisian as a special assistant to him at the University of Texas. He won 2 Super Bowl rings, one with Denver and one with the Rams. He's also the son-in-law of the late Dan Reeves. So he's got personal ties to USC via Dan Reeves. And he'll be coming on for 3 years at $800,000 per season, and he'll have various incentives built into the contract as well. So there you go. The staff now at South Carolina is back whole once again, barring any other departures at some point in time here. So this looks like a very good hire, and it shows again, Chris, the emphasis that Beamer puts on special teams, how he views it as important as any other part of his football team.
Well, and again, he taps into that NFL pipeline. He appears to want coaches who have that NFL coaching experience, whether it be head coach, assistant coach, or whatever. And that is something I think Shane Beamer always looks for when he's trying to hire somebody. And he actually brings in a guy who's going to be by far the oldest coach on their staff. I mean, here's a guy that was born back in 1965. So, I talk about a veteran to lead on. And I'm guessing that's part of the reason they handed off that associate head coach title to him directly, as opposed to some of the other guys who have been on the staff for a couple of years. You bring in a new guy, and voila, he's, I guess, took over exactly the same title, right, that Pete Limbo had.
Correct. Yep. And Limbo, I think, was the oldest head on the staff as well. So, those guys, you lean on them, and you look for some advice from time to time, sort of a sounding board sort of thing. And that's what you're getting here as well. DeCamillis, did not play football in college. He wrestled at the University of Wyoming, where he was an All-American and finished 8th in the 1988 Division I Wrestling Championships. How about that? Did not play college
I remember
football.
it well.
Yeah.
That is unusual. You don't normally see coaches, whether it be basketball, baseball, or football, that did not actually play the sport. And certainly someone who has been as successful as he has been, coaching at the highest level for so long, to be able to do so. And when players ask, all right, coach, how did you handle this when you played? Oh, well, I just throw the guy down and try and pin him.
Yeah. He can show him how to be physical.
There's no doubt.
And how to do the Johnny Weaver roll or something like that, the abdominal stretch. I guess he doesn't do the professional moves. I guess they have more scientific
no
names.
steel chair. Yeah.
Yeah.
No steel chair.
Yeah. All right. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. To join us tonight on the program, let's go ahead and take some phone calls, get your reaction to what went on over the weekend, and we'll drop in some other news notes for you as well. In fact, here's one that I'm seeing kind of interesting. LSU's athletic department reported a $4 million deficit despite national championships in women's basketball and baseball. The department reported $200 million in revenue and $204 million in spending. There you go.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed. So, okay, I guess there you go. You would think LSU would be just flowing in money.
You would.
And where does all that TV money go? I mean, how does, getting that $60 million check, whatever it is right now, going to go up to about 70 or 80 million. You would think that alone could keep any athletic department in the SEC from dropping into the red. Are they overpaying their coaches? Does it have to do with expenditures for improvements around their athletic facilities? I don't know how much money they've been spending on their stadiums, their auditoriums, their arenas, and all that kind of stuff. They do pay their coaches very well, but I don't think that alone, I don't think the coaches' salaries alone would be enough to knock you in the red like that. It must be some other expenditures in there, Pat.
It's got to be those air-conditioned helmets they got, those fancy new football helmets.
Maybe that's the reason.
Maybe that, maybe a little NIL, maybe a little recruiting, $100 handshakes here and there. Who knows?
Now, see, this is where you got to, how is NIL going to figure into a department's budget? I mean, is it totally outside of an athletic department's budget? Do the collectives live in an area where that money doesn't mix with the money that comes into the department? How do you account for that? How do you show that to the IRS, et cetera, et cetera? I'm sure there are people who have answers to that question. I don't have an answer to that question, but I'm sure there are people who do, Pat.
I've got actually something here, reading an article. So the total revenues for LSU last year was, oh my gosh, $199,110,999. The expenses were $204,351,240. These are insane numbers. So that was an overall shortfall of roughly just below 3.9 million, which is nearly $2 million more in the red than last year's deficiency was of just under $2 million. And this shows the biggest change came from football, which increased revenues after expenses from about $35.7 million in the 2022 fiscal year to $54 million in the 2020 or the fiscal year 2023, an $18.3 million swing. The boost stemmed from increases in ticket sales, contributions, media rights, conference distributions, bowl revenues, but a decline in expenses tied mostly to coaching salaries. So you did mention the salaries there. This was showing in 2022, the total needed from the Tiger Athletic Foundation was $15 million more, mostly due to football coaching staff changes. The spike occurred in 2022 due to the coaching change in football and multiple staffs being paid. Okay, this is just getting repetitive at this point, saying the same thing over and over. But essentially, yeah, those new contract for the coaches did play a large role.
All right,
who's running that athletic department? The federal government? Good grief! I mean, come on. You had almost $200 million, and then you spend more than that. Yeah, if I'm LSU fans, I'd like to know where that money is going that we're donating, that they're running into red with that kind of revenue that's coming in.
And
no sense.
Basketball as well here. They had a roughly $1.3 million excess from the year before to this year as well. So both football and basketball overall had, let's see here, even though they independent, how am I going to say this? So all sports except men's basketball and football lost millions. So those are the two money makers, but men's basketball and football both did have significantly higher expenses this past year than before.
All right, to the phones we go. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you. And first up tonight, leading the way will be Gamecock Larry over in Swansea. Gamecock Larry, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, Mr. Phil, Pat, and Chris. But let me tell you something. What a week for the Gamecocks. Well, first we'll start off with the tennis team winning 3 games. Then we'll go to the men's basketball. They beat Kentucky and they beat Missouri. And that was 2-0. And then Clemson lost, so that made them 3-0. And now take the women's basketball. They beat LSU. I'm going to tell you what that deficit is on LSU staff after I get through.
Okay.
The women they beat LSU in basketball, and they beat Vanderbilt. That was 2-0, and Tennessee lost, so that make them 3-0. So all together, not counting the other, just 9-0. My dragster team and the motocross team is getting ready to go down to Orlando, and they're going to show them what it is in 2024.
Now, y'all didn't run in the, you weren't racing in the 24 hours of Rolex Daytona, whatever, over the weekend? You didn't run down that thing?
No, I'm going with them. They got my wheelchair ramp in that dragster. I told them I wasn't going to do no motocross because if I ain't got 4 wheels, I ain't going to get on it.
I don't blame you.
So they're going to put me in the dragster. Now, let me tell you, I'm trying to figure out how in the world LSU came out of all them millions of dollars.
Okay.
The only thing I can think of, I can't think of too much, but I don't think it would cost that much. I ain't going to talk about old Kim. I ain't going to talk about Kim. I'm going to let Kim go.
Okay.
I ain't going to talk about it. I ain't going to say nothing else, but I'm telling you.
Are you suggesting, without saying it, are you suggesting that their expenses went up to, do something with her looks or her attire or, anything?
No, yes, sir. I'll tell you what, most of that went to that Ric Flair attire. She liked to wear all them things. She come out there with that grin on her face and hugging Don's neck and all that, whispering in her ear. But boy, we put it to them. The Gamecock ladies put it to them. And yes, sir, but it's going to come. Out of the last 92 games of ladies basketball, 92 games, 89-3.
Pretty good.
Out of the last 92, 89-3. And we're going to go all the way. I'm telling you, I might be able to watch baseball. I can watch 3 national championships this coming year if the good Lord's willing. Go Gamecocks. Talk to you later. Come on, y'all. Clemson. I don't want to hear you say no more. You didn't give the game to them. The referee didn't cause you to lose. You lost that game by play. Well, yeah, you did. You gave it to them. Go Gamecocks.
All right.
Thank
you, Larry. Larry had to stick that in there. By the way, one of the ACC honorees this week is Duke's guard Jared McCain, ACC Rookie of the Week. Had a big week. and of course really hurt Clemson in that game Saturday. So just a little something else coming out of that game that I got to believe Brad Brownell probably has not suffered a more disappointing loss in his career at Clemson. Maybe you look at one of the postseason losses of the year. Maybe they got to the Sweet 16. You're trying to get to the Elite Eight. That's highly disappointing. You lose that. But in terms of regular season losses, this one's got to rank right at the very top. This one on
How
Saturday.
about Georgia Tech a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, that's annoying.
That's a game you had won.
Yeah.
Had you handled it the right way at the end.
So that's part of the issue here with Brad Brownell. They've had too many losses over the years where you say if they had just handled it better. And now you have to wonder, how is Clemson going to recover? They got a bad Louisville team at 9:00 tomorrow night. Are they going to recover and get back on a winning run here and reestablish themselves as solidly in the NCAA tournament? The net, I've seen a lot of stuff on our Twitter over the weekend.
Yeah, we've got to figure this out.
You can't figure out the net. How can you figure out? My point is they weren't hurt decisively in the net as a result in terms of their number. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening with a low temp dipping down to 32. Tomorrow, another great looking day with mostly sunny skies, a high of 58. We could see some showers on Wednesday, but still just a slight chance of some rain. We'll then climb into the low 60s with more sun than clouds for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey, who wants to make a resolution they can keep? Let's resolve to eat better pizza. Come on, you can do it with the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Let's start slow with the crust. We'll hand toss that spring water dough just for you. Then add the freshest ingredients and serve it hot. Now, lift it. You're doing it. It's a change of pizza lifestyle. Happy New You from the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
With SRN News, Keith Peters reporting Israel's military brought foreign journalists to an area of southern Gaza where its forces had destroyed an Islamic cemetery and a mosque in the process of unearthing tunnels used by Hamas terrorists. The military says it found a Hamas command and control center in a tunnel that ran underneath both the mosque and the cemetery. Under international law, mosques, cemeteries, and other religious sites hold special protected status. But Israel says Hamas has removed this protection by using the sites for military purposes. A South Carolina judge has denied Alex Murdaugh's bid for a new double murder trial after hearing allegations that jury tampering influenced the guilty verdict. The convicted killer of his wife and son, disbarred attorney and admitted thief, was in court for the hearing. More details at srnnews.com.
I've gone from being the skeptic to now emphatically endorsing the idea of solar power for your home or business. But make no mistake, my skepticism was legit because there's only one solar company I've come to believe in. That's Broker Solar. They're local. They're in Lexington. They're not door knockers and high-pressure salespeople. So what about those questions? Broker Solar answered them. How much does it cost? Who gets tax credits? Why should I get a solar battery in addition to solar panels? What type of warranty comes with such an important investment? Ken, Matt, and the team changed my skepticism with confidence. I've been to their job sites, and I am in awe of how the technology has evolved. I'm so impressed with the workmanship from Broker Solar. I've talked to their customers. It all makes so much sense now. Oh, and listen, these politicians, the media's attempt to guilt you with green this and save the planet that, that's not why you want solar power. You want it because it really will save you money. It really gives you control of your power bill instead of the power companies. Hey, find out more online at brokersolar.com or just give them a call. 807-7417. That's 807-7417.
Every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on The Point, join me, Chad Jordan, and my co-host Larry Jordan for the Palmetto Real Estate Pros. We'll help you out whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just learn all things real estate every Friday right here at 100.7 The Point.
Hey, y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven-baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like yours, gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee-Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks, y'all, and God bless.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5 to 9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
The Dennis Prager Show weekdays at noon right here on The Point. Take time for a visit to PragerU. We'll tackle today's issues, interview intriguing newsmakers, do some teaching and some learning together on 100.7 The Point and make thepointradio.com.
All right, welcome back. Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornbluth, Chris Berg, and Pat Daniel. I'll be in Knoxville tomorrow night, South Carolina, Tennessee, 6:30 tip-off in Knoxville. That's a great place to watch a basketball game. You ever done a game at that big arena?
I've not done a game there. I actually have been in there for a basketball game, Carolina and Tennessee, many moons ago. Yeah, Thompson Bowling Arena is a nice place. Yeah, it really is.
They built that
Good facility.
They built that big enough so it would be larger than what Kentucky had. They wanted to be a little bit bigger than Rupp Arena when they built Rupp Arena, so they made this one 22 something. I guess Rupp seats like 20 something, 22 something. It's huge. It's massive. And
Hard place to play,
just
especially
like
for USC.
Oh yeah, haven't won there since what, 2017?
Yeah, the
I
Final
think.
Four year.
Yeah, we'll see if this team is capable. Lamont Paris said today that Studi will be able to play tomorrow night. He was close. He said after the game Saturday that he was close, and now he said today that he would be able to play. That shoulder apparently is back in shape. So the question is, do you go back to him in the starting lineup, or do you go with what's been working since he went out?
I don't think you run him out in the starting lineup. I think you let him play some against Tennessee because they're going to be physical, so you get a pretty good gauge as to what he can handle. But no, I don't think you tinker with the starting lineup at all. It has worked extremely well since he's been injured. And that was, even if you're a Gamecock fan, the more encouraging thing about Saturday's win over Missouri. You did so without anything from Meechie Johnson.
Yes.
I mean, 1 steal, 3 assists, but he was 0 of 9 from the field. I mean, he's not going to shoot like that very often. And for them to be able to find a way to win and win relatively easily, that being said, keeping in mind that Missouri came all the way back early second half, but then they were able to push the lead back out and hold on. But to be able to win that game without anything from Meechie Johnson has to be an encouraging sign for Lamont Paris and his team. And speaking of injuries, has anybody, I've never heard him say, does anybody know the status of Ibrahima Diba?
Never talked about. I don't think he's ready to play coming off that Achilles. Going into the season, he said he wasn't 100%. They were hoping to bring him along and get him some floor time, but nobody ever asks about it. I'll be happy to ask about it next time I get an opportunity.
Because, quite frankly,
while.
Gamecock fans don't know this because unless you follow Coastal, you didn't see him play, but their best defender, decide what you're seeing now, their best defender is still sitting on the bench. Because if they could ever get Ebo into the contest, I mean, you're going to be impressed with what he can do on the defensive end. He's not going to score a whole lot, but he will distribute the basketball and give you spot minutes and certainly be a terrific on-ball defender. I mean, the guy's 6'6" with long arms. I mean, he can defend like crazy. I was hoping to get a chance we'd be able to see him play this year, but as the season continues to wear along, I don't know that it's going to happen.
All right, phone number 888-898-2525. Back to your calls in just a second. I want to mention a couple of other things that are important today, things that have that come down that's worth discussing. Of course, baseball season is right around the corner, and we got things happening there with All-American teams and things like that. And I want to tell you that we had the preseason ranking come out today as well from Baseball America. And Baseball America ranked Clemson in the preseason at number 9. And they ranked South Carolina at number 12, I think it is. And they ranked Coastal Carolina, going by memory here, ranked
19.
Coastal Carolina at 19. Thank you. D1 baseball, preseason All-Americans. USC catcher Cole Messina, first team. USC outfielder Ethan Petrie, first team. Clemson outfielder Cam Canarella, first team. Coastal Carolina catcher Caden Bodine. Bodine or Bodin?
Bodine.
Bodine, third team. College of Charleston utility player Cole Mathis, third team. Former USC offensive line coach Eric Wolford, who's been at Alabama, is returning to Kentucky as their offensive line coach. So always in great demand is Eric Wolford, always going to have a place to coach. He's that highly regarded. See where Jimmy Williams, one-time the Braves, was he ever manager of the Braves after Bobby Cox, or he went to Toronto? He left Bobby Cox, went to Toronto, right? And was manager up there. He passed away today at the age of, was born in 1943, so he would have been,
wow,
he would have
80?
been 50, about what, 80?
80, possibly 81.
57 and 24, about 81.
You said he was born in 53, right?
43.
43, then yeah, that'd be 80 would be last year. So like Chris said, maybe
Right.
81 at the oldest.
He never managed the Braves, though, did he? He was
I don't
on
think
Bobby
so.
Cox's staff for a long time, right?
Right.
And then he went to Toronto where he made his fame up there. Oh, our poll question of the week, by the way. Poll question of the week. We got to get to that. Our poll question of the week has to do with Clemson's season opening football game at Georgia. And, you can find odds on that game. FanDuel has odds on that game out, and Clemson is getting 12.5 points. The over and under for that game was set at 48.5. So you can have Clemson with 12.5 points, or you can play the over under at 48.5. So what would as of today, knowing what you know about the teams, what would be your play? Chris, what would be your play? Would you take the points, give the points, under, over?
I think I'd take Georgia in the points right now. Just knowing what I know about the two football teams, considering the way, and again, it's hard to equate what Georgia did in the Orange Bowl against Florida State, considering there were so many players that didn't show up. But I just think Georgia may come into this upcoming season like they need to play with a chip on their shoulder, and that'd be a really good way for them to make a statement early in the season. Plus, even as close as Clemson is to Atlanta, that's a Georgia town. That's going to be a Georgia home game for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think I'd take Georgia in the points.
What are you thinking, Pat? You got a decision on that? No, you don't. I would take the under. I think you're going to have two great defenses out there. Yeah. Now, I think you're going to see something in the lines of whoever wins is going to be in the low 20s. Whoever loses is probably going to be in the teens. Might be like 21-14 or 21-17, something like that. I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring game, to be honest with you, as things stand right now. So you can vote. I got to give you the results. The results so far, 405 votes in today. 62.2% are taking Georgia. 18.3% are taking Clemson. 14.1% are taking the under. And 5.4% are taking the over. So you got plenty of time to get in there and vote and have your opinion count on our poll question of the week.
That's one we need to save once this week is done. Sort of throw it in the archives and remember to bring it back up the week of the game and see how accurate we are here in January about a game that won't take place until September, first weekend of September.
Yeah. Good point. Excellent point. Let's get back to your phone calls. We appreciate your calls. 888-898-2525 is the phone number to reach us here on the program as we go to Bruce in Missouri with us next on Sports Talk. Bruce, welcome in. It's good to have you with us.
Well, Phil, that's an honor to follow Gamecock Larry as a call-in.
Hard to follow
What a-
Gamecock Larry to match.
What a honor it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, Gamecock Larry, you didn't see the game at Duke, and when they threw the ball into the Tiger basketball player at the end of the game, he got hatchet on his arm, and the guy grabbed the ball out of his head. It came out of his hand, and the guy grabbed the ball in the air after he knocked the guy almost off his feet to get the ball, and ran down and made the shot. They didn't call it. And I go back to, I think it was 2 years ago, Phil, when y'all had a referee on, football referee, and he just said, let them play the game. Just let them play the game. Don't call them. Just let them play the game. That guy was off his damn rocker. I wouldn't have him calling the game anywhere. Just let them play the game. And that's what's going on with sports today. There is no sportsmanship going on. It's a hatchet game. Every sporting event is a hatchet game. And it's really depressing to see this crap going on.
Stretching for the goal line and losing the football. Now, I think the percentage is in the favor. Percentages probably say you're going to score more often than not. When you do that, you're going to break the plane and get the touchdown. But one fumble in that situation is one too many. If I were a coach, I am coaching my guys not to do that. I would rather be down at the half-yard line with you cradling the football, properly carrying the football, and taking that risk out of it, and get tackled at the 1 or the half and live to play another down or a couple of downs with a chance to knock it in versus you stretching it out. You might make it, but I'm seeing too many guys fumble the ball through the end zone for a touchback and costing a touchdown. And that happened, of course, with Baltimore yesterday. It's happened repeatedly, happens all the time at all levels of football. I don't know why. Are they coaching that? Is that being coached to tell these guys to stretch for the goal line?
No, it's the players. They don't have the mentality to finish the game. That's the whole point. And they're flopping on the court every game you see. There's a flopping to win the game, to call a foul against the other opponent. It's a fake flop. That's going on all over the place. It's a sick game. Is what it is. Sick game. I'm tired of watching it. It's just driving me crazy. The referees don't see it because they're too close to the game, but we see it. And they play the replay. Yeah, they flopped them. They didn't touch them. They just flopped. So it's just it's habit. It's just not a original game anymore.
All right, Bruce. Thank you very much. How you feel about that, Chris? As far as guys stretching for the goal line like that, and I know most of the time nothing bad happens, but it's that time that it does happen that it always seems to happen at the worst time for you, that you lose the ball like that and you cost your team a touchdown.
Well, and to answer your question about our guys being coached to do this, my guess is no. They're being coached to protect the football and to keep it close to your body, not stretch it away where you have less control over the football. And I agree with you. I'd much prefer to have second down and a yard to go from the 1 as opposed to 1st and 10. My defense is back out there at the 20 and you're trying to score. Chances are Baltimore was going to punch it in on the next play. Just turn and either let Lamar Jackson run it in or hand it off to Gus Johnson, let him run it in. But Gus Edwards, I'm sorry. Gus Johnson would have called it, I guess, not run it in. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I'd much prefer them protect the football at all costs because we're seeing that happen. And it may not happen all that often, as you pointed out, but boy, when it does happen, it's so obvious that it totally took the momentum away from anything the Ravens had going yesterday when that occurred.
All right, thanks for the phone call. 888-898-2525 is our phone number. We'll continue with phone calls after this upcoming break on Sports Talk. We'll have some comments for you from Shane Beamer coming up. He met with the media during halftime of the basketball game on Saturday to kind of update some things with his program. And at that point in time, he could not talk about who he was about to hire, though it had been reported earlier in the day on Saturday that he was going to be hiring the person that he ended up hiring. But we'll have that for you nonetheless, and we'll be back after the break.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, it's hunting season in South Carolina this fall, and folks need to be prepared from a legal standpoint.
That's right, Phil. Everyone always needs to buy their hunting license or fishing license. Everyone always worries about losing their license. Well, now that's not a problem anymore because you can keep your license on your phone. That's right. Go Outdoors SC. It's an app. Look for it on your Apple or Android devices. You can buy your license. You can renew your boat registration, and it's all right there on your phone. Remember, Go Outdoors SC in your app store.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You put in the work for your education, the extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
When trouble comes like the accidents do, we all get sick and the bills pile too. There's only one number that can help see you through. And if you're healthy, here's what you should do. Call 605-7905. That's the number that you need to know. 605-7905. $0 deductible. What's a deductible, you say? That's the price you have to pay before the insurance will say we'll help you. They keep the number out of reach because they know that you won't reach that number because they know you're healthy. 605-7905. $0 deductible. 605-7905. 727 is the area code.
Something else I've mentioned on this Clemson loss at Duke that really stumped me as well, guys. God, it's just hard to believe. Poor Ian Shefflin, who's played so well for Clemson. 4 turnovers and a couple of fouls in the last 2 minutes. You're Clemson. You've got a 4-point lead and the ball with 2 minutes to go. But even then, with everything that happened, you get the 2 free throws by P.J. Hall with 7 seconds to go up by a point at 71-70. And you have 1 timeout left, and Duke has 0 timeouts left. And you called a timeout. Brad Ronell.
I thought that was a bad decision.
Called a timeout. Yeah. Same. I'm thinking, why do you give Duke the opportunity to set a play versus being forced to scramble down the court? I know the comeback answer is, well, want to set my defense, want to get my defense right. Yeah, I hear that.
You got your guys at the foul line. You can talk to them because PJ's the only one that needs to actually be there. You can talk to your other 4 guys and say, when he makes this second one, full court press. You don't need to call a timeout for that. You got a veteran team. They should understand this stuff.
Plus, you do that in
Coach,
practice all the time. I would think you
exactly.
already know last minute of the game, last second of the game, whatever. You already know your defensive settings there.
Coaches micromanage these guys way too much and don't let them just go play and understand. And to that end as well, Phil, though, Duke had 25 free throw attempts in the second half and shot free throws on 7 of their last 12 possessions. I can understand why Brad Brownell was a little upset at the officiating. Plus the technical foul that Jack Clark got in the first half.
Now, that was ridiculous. I mean, I'll give you that.
Ridiculous.
That was absolutely ridiculous. Now, I saw some photos, some snapshots of a couple of those calls on Shefflin that people were contending shouldn't be fouls. But then, look, he had his arms up in the air, but if you look closely, he's leaning in over Filipowski or whoever he was covering down inside. He wasn't straight up. He had his arms over the person he was covering and making contact. I guess when the shooter went up, when the player went up, made contact. I mean, it's the rule's very specific, right? You've got to have your arms straight up. Yep. You cannot be leaning in over. And this was on Twitter, people going back and forth with the argument. Look at this, look at that, look at this. And I could see where you could say that he was not guarding correctly and why he would be called for a foul in that case. You've got to be so careful. Clemson had everything going their way. They had the lead, they had the ball, they fouled out Filipowski. So they had a lot of things going their way there, and they just basically gave it right back to Duke in a game that they had in their back pocket.
They need to win. Yep. They needed to win.
All right, let's go to Hank in Columbia. Hank, welcome to Sports Talk on this Monday night. Good to have you with us.
Hey, Corn.
Yep.
I normally try to always point out some of the contradictions in some of our thinking sometimes as we compare the athletes of the day with the adults. And I'm going to go back to something from some weeks ago. Isn't the Kentucky coach, isn't Stoops like one of the longest tenured coaches in the SEC now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there was a big deal made out a couple of weeks ago about Edmonds coming back to South Carolina. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes, about Gilbert
Wolford,
Edmonds transferring back. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now,
well, hang on.
Wolford,
When you say a big deal, explain what you mean by big deal. I mean, criticism?
Well, remember, we were like, well, should they? Well, it was kind of, I don't say criticism, but it was speculation of, why, well, should he let him come back? And, should a player go out and come back?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like, and remember, and I had indicated that I think Edmonds had more to do with some family stuff than the money. But there are some people that always were saying, there were some people calling in talking about the money.
Mm-hmm.
But Wolford went to Alabama from Kentucky, right?
Correct.
And he took more money, obviously, to go to Alabama, right?
Just shows you how valuable he is in the minds of head coaches.
And then when he was available, because Alabama's situation changed, he went back to Kentucky. So I just always tell us, sometimes we try to hold the kids the stuff we won't hold the adults to.
Yeah. Well, personally, my personal opinion on Edmond was I was surprised he's coming back to South Carolina. But after hearing more of the story and the fact that he left on good terms, this wasn't something where he stormed out on Shane Beamer and the team. He left on good terms, and he had a family issue going on and needed to be dealt with, be closer to his home down there in Florida. And he did the right thing the way he ran it through Beamer to come back, and Beamer ran it through the leaders of his team about bringing him back. So they checked all the boxes there properly before they made a move.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, all that has to be gone through for the athlete. But these coaches say, "Hey, this guy left," because Alabama gave a $300,000 or $400,000 raise, and now that Alabama's not an option, he comes right on back.
Mm-hmm.
Players don't even have a vote in that.
That's true. That's true. Yep.
So I just wanted to point that out there.
Good point. Good point. Good pointing there, Hank. Hank, very good pointing. Pat's got something to point out as well.
Well, just to add to what Hank's saying too, because now he got me curious about the longest tenured coaches in the SEC. Mark Stoops is now, if what I'm reading here is right, the longest tenured coach in the SEC after the retirement of Nick Saban. Stoops has been there since 2013, and then Kirby Smart is the second longest. He's been at Georgia since 2016. Every other coach in the SEC, including the new additions, Oklahoma and Texas, have all been hired since 2020.
How about that?
That's impressive. There are only 2 coaches in the SEC that have been there for longer than since 2020.
And makes you wonder, going into 24, are there any coaches on the true hot seat? Clark Lee, maybe at Vanderbilt, because you're on the hot seat after about every 3rd or 4th year at Vanderbilt.
But especially after they were going to win the SEC last year, according to the media poll, and they didn't come close. Yeah, you would think his job would be in jeopardy, right?
Somebody did vote them to win, didn't they?
They sure did.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else around the league you think's any? Because you got so many new faces, and then the established guys are established. They're not going
Sam
anywhere.
Pittman's the only one I can think of.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
And if Billy Napier doesn't get it going big,
he's another one
at Florida. I don't know that they'll make a move, but they'll be very much on his back if he doesn't get it going big. All right, thank you for the phone call, Hank, and we will hit this break. We'll come back with more of your phone calls, so don't go away. Those of you holding, hang in there. We'll get to you right after the top of the hour break.
UXL Columbia W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. President Biden is deciding how the United States will respond to an Iranian-backed weekend attack that killed 3 U.S. service members in Jordan. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The president has been weighing his options during meetings with his national security team. He has promised to retaliate, even though National Security spokesman John Kirby says the U.S. does not seek a war with Iran.
We are not looking to escalate the tensions any more than they already have been escalating. In fact, everything we've done has been designed to try to de-escalate those tensions. That said, this was a very serious attack.
Meanwhile, Republicans are blaming President Biden for doing too little to deter Iranian militias. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Federal authorities have arrested a Massachusetts man for allegedly threatening to bomb synagogues and kill members of the state's Jewish community.
Authorities allege 59-year-old John Reardon called a local synagogue last week, leaving a voicemail that threatened to kill congregants and bomb the temple. And 10 minutes later, he's accused of threatening another synagogue and a Jewish organization, mentioning the deaths of Palestinians in Israel. He's now charged with using a facility of interstate commerce to threaten a person or place with harm. The state's acting U.S. attorney says the threats are deeply disturbing and reflect an increasing torrent of anti-Semitism across the country. I'm Jackie Quinn.
A South Carolina judge has denied Alex Murdaugh's bid for a new double murder trial after hearing allegations that jury tampering influenced the guilty verdict. The convicted killer of his wife and son, disbarred attorney and admitted thief, was in court for the hearing. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points, the Nasdaq rose 172, the S&P advanced 36. More at townhall.com.
Retirement Outlook. If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by, ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's 820-800-8000.
The United States is being awarded another gold medal from the 2022 Beijing Games after a Russian figure skater's disqualification. Correspondent Gethin Kulba has the story.
Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva has been disqualified from the 2022 Beijing Olympics. The verdict from the Court of Arbitration for Sport comes almost 2 years after Valieva's doping case caused turmoil at the Beijing Games. The CAS ruling means the Russians are set to be stripped of the gold medal in figure skating's team event. The United States finished second and is set to be named Olympic champion instead. The 15-year-old Valieva was the star performer hours before her positive test for a banned heart medicine was revealed. I'm Gethin Kulba.
A Russian sports tribunal had cleared her of any blame, citing that she was a minor. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening with a low temp dipping down to 32. Tomorrow, another great looking day with mostly sunny skies, a high of 58. We could see some showers on Wednesday, but still just a slight chance of some rain. We'll then climb into the low 60s with more sun than clouds for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. Phil Kornblut, Pat Daniel here in Columbia, Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace in Sardis, but he's going to enjoy one more night in the comfy confines. And then you're off on an arduous road trip, are you not?
I am. We leaving late tomorrow afternoon to head to James Madison, play the Dukes on a Thursday, and then travel across the mountain, head over to Huntington, West Virginia to face Marshall on Saturday, and then come back home right after Marshall late Saturday night on into early Sunday morning. I'll probably get back here into the Berge Palace about, 4 o'clock Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Fun times.
Okay. And who's going to take care of Finn and family?
Heidi will be here.
Mm-hmm.
So got the missus. Mommy will be here taking care of Finn, and he'll be thrilled. He's a mama's boy anyway, so he'll be happy.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, you have safe travels. At least you guys got a win on Saturday.
Yeah, played well. Second half especially. Benny Moss made a couple of tweaks to his lineup during the Southern Miss game on Wednesday. Didn't work out ultimately for a win, but I think he saw enough that he liked in that lineup and inserted both Kevin Easley and Ian Granja into the starting lineup. Granja getting his first start. Easley had started earlier in the year and out of the lineup for a little while and then came back and he exploded. He had a great game. Easley did, and it was enough. They down 13 in the second half, came all the way back, tied it late, and they won it in overtime. Those are a lot of fun to call. They really are.
Oh, no question. No question. All right. Phone number 888-898-2525 is our phone number. Let's get back to your phone calls. Everything is lit up, so let's get to as many calls as we can. We'll hear from Shane Beamer, and, of course, we'll go over the recruiting as Clemson picked up a pair of offensive linemen and a defensive tackle as well over the last couple of days. Jamie in Hilton Head with us next here on Sports Talk. Good evening, Jamie. Good to have you with us.
How are you, sir?
Terrific.
Good, good. Listen, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. First of all, this Clemson basketball. Now, I know Duke was a good team and all that. I get all that, but I just really, I think Brad Brownell has taken the program as far as he can take it. I think Brad Brownell's a good guy, and he, in some aspects, is a good coach. But it's just, they have so many disappointing losses. This is a good team. This is his team. This is the team that's supposed to do it right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think everybody said we're solidly in the NCAA tournament, and we may be, but There's still work to be done. You know, it's not going to be an easy schedule on the way on down the stretch. I see several more losses.
Well, the schedule is not easy at all as you consider. You should beat Louisville, but then you got Virginia. And Virginia is just the kind of team that gives you trouble because it'll be a low-scoring game and critical possessions down the stretch, and can Clemson handle it? Then a trip to North Carolina. Then a trip to Syracuse, which, hey, it's Syracuse. And then Miami comes to town. NC State comes to town. Those are all good teams. Those are all good games. Then you got Georgia Tech, Florida State, and Pitt, and Notre Dame, not all so good teams. So there might be some wins in those 4 games, 2 at home and 2 on the road, and then a home game against Syracuse and a trip to Wake Forest, which is pretty good. So, oh my goodness, I forgot. The tournament this year is in New York.
I just don't know. But you also
ACC
talk about
tournament.
SEC coaches on the hot seat.
Yeah.
How I'm not trying to ruffle no feathers, but how could you leave Shane Beamer out?
Well, we were just talking about that in the off air. In fact, Pat was thinking that Shane Beamer might be one under the gun if the Gamecocks don't have what would you consider to be a satisfactory season? If this team, against this schedule they're going to be playing, if they win 7 games and go to a bowl, and regardless of what they do, let's just say win 7 games and win a bowl game, go 8-5, that would probably be pretty satisfactory for South Carolina.
Probably so, but I think it's also a pipe dream for South Carolina too.
Well, it might be. I mean, the schedule's tough, but here is the question. I mean, when do you, as fans, when do you expect to make a playoff? 2024? This is Gamecock fans I'm saying. When do you expect to make a playoff? 2024, 2025, 2026? How many years do you go expecting to make a playoff?
I don't see it on the horizon for Shane Beamer's team.
Because Clemson fans are expecting the playoff from Clemson this year, right? They're expecting to make the playoff.
Well, yeah, but and here's the thing. You don't have to necessarily, we were talking about the Georgia game earlier, you don't have to necessarily beat Georgia to do that.
No, you don't. But they do expect, Clemson fans do expect to make playoffs every year, without exception. Whether it was 4 teams or now 12, they expect now to make playoffs. That's what he has built. That's what Sweeney has built, and the fans expect that.
That's right, and I welcome those expectations. And you wouldn't be much of a competitor if you didn't. And Sweeney welcomes those expectations too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure.
I welcome them.
I'm sure in Beamer's world, and thank you for the call, Jamie. Great hearing from you. His expectations are to make playoffs. He's a competitor. He wants to win every game and get South Carolina to the playoff, guys. But that schedule is daunting. I mean, tough. You got to go to Kentucky. Your 2 easiest, your 2 easiest SEC road games are what? Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Because you're going to have to go to Oklahoma, and you are going to have to go to, who's the other one?
Alabama. And Clemson.
Yeah.
And
Ole Miss is coming to town. And Missouri. You got to play Missouri. And
I got it right in front of me. Old Dominion, then Kentucky, LSU, Akron, then Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, back-to-back. A&M right there after them after a bye week. Then Vanderbilt, Missouri, Wofford, and Clemson to finish up. So the back end, I think, is a little easier. But, I mean, Missouri, after the way they were this past year, are they? Are they going to be any easier? I mean, almost their whole offense comes back next year.
South Carolina can't assume anything with Missouri. You're not better than Missouri. That quarterback is back. They do lose the running back, who was outstanding, right? He was a 1-year transfer D2 guy. But Missouri's beating them on such a pretty regular basis that you can't say you can just beat Missouri. I mean, it's a winnable game.
Right.
And it's in Columbia this year, right? Yeah,
correct.
Because I went out there last year. It's
South
in
Carolina,
Columbia this year. Yeah, the Columbia.
That's right.
So, it's if they get 7, do you see 7 wins? Where do you see 7 wins on that schedule?
And Chris, feel free to jump in here. For me, just going through it, and Phil, you and I about a month ago went through this, did a little exercise where thinking realistically, how many opponents on South Carolina's schedule next year have a realistic expectation of making or chance of making the playoff? And going through it again, Kentucky, I don't think we thought they were, but LSU, yes, so that's 1. Going down, Ole Miss, I think all three of us, feel free to chime in here. Do we think Ole Miss is a realistic chance at the playoff next year? I say yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so that's 2. Alabama, 3. Even without Saban, do we give Alabama a shot? Probably.
Yes.
Okay, so 3. Oklahoma.
Yes.
4. Texas A&M.
Question mark.
Okay, so we'll leave it at 4. Vanderbilt, no. Missouri, I would say yes. Maybe fringe.
Yeah, I'd say borderline.
Okay.
Possible.
So 4 for certain.
They did win, what, 11 this past year? 10 or 11.
Right, and then beat Ohio State in the bowl game.
Yeah.
And then Wofford, no. Clemson.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 5 for sure. And then we have Missouri and A&M as maybes. So you're looking at between 5 and 7. So roughly half of your opponents on the season have realistic expectations of making the playoff. And the reason why, just to expand real quickly on why I think that Beamer is on the hot seat, is just trying to read between the lines of his recruiting approach this season. Some of the changes he has made, some of the folks he's gone after. We kept hearing about, after the loss of Spencer Rattler to the NFL draft, the assumed starter for next year would be Lenora Sellers. But South Carolina, there were reports that they were welcoming in lots of pretty big name, highly regarded transfer portal quarterbacks from around the country came in here. Now, none of those big ones seem to actually commit here, but just looking at that makes me at least personally think that Beamer is coaching as if he has to win next year. He does not have time to let Lenora Sellers grow within that offense. He needs somebody that's able to come in next year and immediately lead them to at least a playoff. I'm sorry, not to a playoff, to at least a bowl game. And with this schedule, what is the magic number? What is, to your point, what is the number that Gamecock fans would be satisfied with? Is it 5 wins, 6 wins, 7, 8? But I don't know. But if you go this past year, we had pretty high expectations. I believe you thought the Gamecocks would win 8 games, didn't you?
7 or 8.
7 or 8. Well, they went Beamer's first year to 7-6, then 8-5, or I guess not. Yeah, first year 7-6, 8-5, and then this year regressed to 5-7. I just think there might be a little bit of extra pressure there to at least get back to 500, to at least get to a bowl game. So again, just reading between the lines at the approach Shane Beamer has taken in the transfer portal this offseason just leads me to believe that there's a little bit of sense of urgency there.
Good points. Good points all. The quarterback situation. And Chris, we haven't seen a whole heck of a lot of Lenora Sellers. And we've seen some Robbie Ashford, but I'm going to take a guess here that Sellers is a superior quarterback to Ashford. Now, Ashford's got the experience, having played in the SEC a little bit, full season for the most part, and parts of another. But just naturally talking about his skills, his size, his skills, and what he can do, I got to think Sellers is the better quarterback.
So we actually got disconnected from Chris momentarily. Apologies, but he should be reconnecting.
Well, let
with
me
us
answer
here
that for him. I'll
any
answer
moment.
I'll answer for Chris. Corn, you're exactly right. As always, I agree with you 100% because nobody is smarter than you. Thank you, Chris. Great comments. Back to the phones we go. 888-898-2525. We'll see if he actually would agree with what I just said for him when he joins us. Let's go to where are we going next? We're going to go to Jim. Jim on the Isle of Palms. Hello, Jim, you lucky dog. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Joe, I'll get to the Clemson Duke call in just a minute, but there's another situation that needs to be cleaned up in college basketball. It's in the paint. Just visualize this with me. A1 is the offensive player, receives a pass down in the post. And what does he do? He backs in, the defensive player pushes him back, body to body. If you could call it, you got to call offensive foul on the center one time, it would knock all that off, okay? If the defensive guy's got position on the center, it's no different than a block charge that takes place 20 feet from the basket, okay? What's the difference? There is no damn difference.
Are you saying they're not calling that? Are they not calling that?
No, they need to call it. They need to call it
Yeah.
and stop it. The offensive player is getting an advantage. Next time you watch a game, just watch the offensive center and the defensive guy. They're just bumping and shoving and punching each other, whatever you want to call it. Just call it. And it'll knock it off. Because the offensive player is definitely getting an advantage. That's my opinion. Okay, I did it for 30 years.
Sure.
Now let's go to the Clemson Duke game. What end of the four was that call made on?
Which call are you talking about?
The last foul within 0.4 of a second. What end of the court was on? And who, in front of whose bench?
Yeah, in front of Duke's bench. At Duke's basket, yeah.
Okay, there's only one official who had a clear shot at it. That was the center official, right? The trail didn't call it. The lead didn't call it. The center called it. With 0.4 of a second, put the damn whistle in your pocket and let the kids play ball. Come on. You got a foul. You got fouls all over the game, all over the court, the whole 40 minutes. With 0.4 of a second.
But
Come on.
How do you, I mean, okay, as an official, you're watching that play. Now, in my eyes, of course, I had the benefit of watching it over and over again on replay. And I thought Beadle fouled him twice. I thought he fouled him as he was coming across the lane, and I thought he fouled him. I thought the foul call was a good call, personally, from where I'm watching it. I thought his arms made contact with the shooter's arms. You don't see it that way.
So let's go back to your first game. You said you saw a foul when he was in the lane. Why did he call that? Were they in a 1-and-1? Were they? Was it just a common foul? But you gave the guy, you called a second foul, as you just mentioned. So you put him on the line with 2 shots with 0.4 seconds. Okay, you can't go back and review a foul, Phil. So they went back, and the only thing they reviewed was put 0.6 of a second back on the clock.
Yeah, they gave him a second. Yeah.
Okay. So he made 2 free throws, and that put them up by what, 1 point?
Put him up by 1.
He made both. Okay. Now, 1 second on the clock. They throw a long pass to the other end of the court. Did the center for Clemson get tripped up?
I actually, you're not going to like me, but I mean, I actually thought I thought Hall initiated the contact there. I thought he ran over the Duke defender. That's just how I watched it on television. I wasn't there. I'm watching on television. I thought he, going for the ball, ran through the defender, but that's just how I looked at it.
Well, I'm just saying, 50% on. Y'all made a comment earlier. I just came out of Catholic Mass, so I didn't catch all your show, but someone mentioned every time you blow. Yeah,
they don't have us on.
Every time
they didn't have us on inside your church.
No, you weren't on the sermon tonight. But it's every time we blew the whistle, 50% of the people loved it. 50% of the people have it. If there was a foul that took place, and I only saw it once before the shot. If that was called, I don't know whether there would have been a 1-and-1.
This was before he went into his motion, before he went up. I thought now they could have called a foul there. It was the double bonus, so he would have gotten 2 shots anyway. So it was double bonus as he was driving across the lane.
It was over 10, right? It was over 10 fouls.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I hate, by the way. But which I hate. I hate the double bonus. The idea, as I recall, and you'll probably know this, sir, better than me, that when they put the double bonus in, for some reason they thought that would cut down on fouling because teams
that was stupid.
Yeah. Let's go back to 1-and-1s at all times and put a little more pressure on people. Let's throw a little bit more drama into the game there instead of just all this fouling down the stretch that slows the game down and stops the game. Let's go back to 1-and-1s all the way through. What do you think?
Phil, have you been to a high school game this year?
No, sir.
Well, I'm 75 years old. I don't officiate anymore, but I went to one the other night and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. In high school basketball, what I was able to pick up, once you reach 5 fouls, you go to a double. I believe you go to 2 shots. Then you eradicate all the fouls for that half, and you don't have a 1-on-1. You don't have 1-on-1s anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's the NBA rule.
That's the women's rule too.
Is that the women's rule
college
too?
Basketball. Yep.
Okay. I haven't been to a women's game, so it's just I think that there were 3 guys out there. One of them had the best look at it, and it was the center guy. And Brand, what's the guy's name at Clemson?
Brad Brownell.
I don't know him. Yeah, he made a comment that he's had problems with that official before. Well, if he has, the supervisor should have not put that guy in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You You can blackball him.
I was going to say, can't you blackball an official from working your game?
Well, I'm sure he's been blackballed now.
No question.
Yeah, he won't work another Clemson game this year, and he might not work another game the rest of the year. Or he might get suspended for 3 or 4 games. But there's a lot of calls in a situation like that. That I just leave it alone. It looked kind of funny to me. He was in front of the bench of the Duke bench down that end of the floor, and I just would have left it alone. Let it go to overtime. It had a hell of a game anyway. Let it go to overtime and let the kids play ball. Come on.
All right, so thank you very much.
Have a good day.
You too, sir. Appreciate your comments. Great call. I love it when we have people who've actually been there, done that.
Now, real quick,
Discuss
y'all didn't
it
even,
with us.
Y'all mentioned the foul calls, but nobody yet has mentioned the walk, because that was the part that I thought was wrong. I thought that Tyrese Proctor took at least 3, if not 4 steps before the foul call, and that's what I thought the mistake was there at the end. And I was a little surprised to hear Brad Brownell not talk about that, but I've probably watched that replay 40 times at this point, and it looks like a walk each time to me.
And I will say, late in the game, I can't tell you exactly where it was, but Filipowski definitely went over the back. You remember that play? Well, Chris, you were calling the game.
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of it. I just listened to the tail end on the way home.
He definitely went over the back. I think the commentator said something about he avoided his 5th foul there. He definitely went over the back of Clemson guys and got away with a foul there. So, yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff going to happen to you. That's why, but still, Clemson, you've got the ball.
You had a chance.
With a 4-point lead, with 2 minutes to go. All you got to do is protect the basketball and make your free throws. Protect the ball. And why it kept ending up in the hands of Shefflin. Somehow the ball ended up in his hands every time. And he's a good player. I hate it for that kid because he's been a stalwart for Clemson this year. He gives them everything he's got, but for some reason, he blew a brain gasket. Everything he did with the basketball was terrible down the stretch.
And a couple of those, he had really good defensive rebounds, and then it was almost like either the outlet pass was poor on his part, or the ball got knocked out of his hand. But it was like he was making a really good hustle play, and then just had a really bad play right after that, and just kind of snowballed for him. And now at this point, we can talk about this till we're blue in the face, and Brad Brownell can. But at some point, you gotta move on from this, put this in the rear view, because if you let this distract you and you have another horrible loss at Louisville like last year, you could find yourself in a tailspin real quick. So they need to do a good job right now of just putting this behind you. It is what it is, and moving forward.
Keep in mind, back in April, Graham Neff is on the record via Mark Ryan in the Upstate as saying to him that he reported that no tournaments, no Brownell in the future for Clemson. So talk about maybe feeling pressure.
Well, Phil, they're going to have to win about 10 more games, I think, at least.
You think they got to win 10 more games?
Well, they're 13-6. And again, I'll go back to what I've said for years, and I've developed this opinion based on fact that South Carolina and Clemson have to do more than other teams to get into the tournament. I mean, look what they did last year. They won 23 games. That wasn't enough.
That's true.
And their net wasn't as good as it is this year. That's going to help them. And again, somebody's got to explain to me how you can lose a game. I don't care who you're playing, and you move up in the net rankings. And South Carolina can win all their games last week, and they go down in the net rankings. I don't get that at least. And this is not a knock on Clemson.
Right.
They played a good Duke team on the road, but there should be value based on a win. You can't just play a team and move up. You should have to win that game too.
Let me take a look at something real quick. The net. So Clemson is 28, and this does not see. Okay, they have not. I don't know how much they improved over the last week. That's been wiped out of this report for some reason. And South Carolina's 50. I'm looking at Warren Nolan. Normally, they have what's called net delta, which tells you how much a team has moved in 1 week. And let me see if I can find it somewhere else here in their rankings. In the meantime, let's go back to the phones, and I'll look this up. Back to the phones, 888-898-2525. And we go to Woodruff to speak with Rofer.
That's supposed to say Roger. My bad, Rofer.
Sorry, Roger. It's got an F in there. Roger, welcome to Sports Talk. How are you? Hello, Roger.
Not Roper. That's first. Hello.
Hey, Roger. How you doing, man?
Hey, good. How are you?
Great.
I've been called a lot of things, but not Roper. That's
Yeah,
first.
sorry about that.
From the Alapones to Woodruff, kind of the other end of the spectrum there. But
are you telling me people aren't flocking to Woodruff to retire these days?
It's not a tourist mecca, that's for sure. It's not a retirement community.
We hear you. We hear you.
But interesting thing over the weekend, I was at home watching Firmament Walford on 62 up here, and Pete Yandy was doing the play-by-play. He does the Ingles SoCon game of the week.
Yes.
Each Saturday, I think. And he says in the broadcast, it's during the second half, that speaking of big guys, look who just sat down beside us. And then they put the camera on him, and lo and behold, fresh from 21 points earlier in the afternoon, it was B.J. Mack.
Mm-hmm. I saw a picture of him up there.
Yeah, he drove up from Columbia to watch his alma mater and his former teammates, and I guess former interim coach last year. I thought that was kind of neat.
Absolutely.
I did. I thought that was real neat.
That speaks volume for that young man. It speaks volumes.
It does. That's all I wanted to say, though.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Good hearing from you. Roffer, also known as Roger. Roger the Roffer. All right, got to hit the break. More calls will come up after the bottom of the break, so stay on those lines. Recruiting and some Shane Beamer, too. A packed final half hour right around the corner. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Clear and chilly this evening with a low temp dipping down to 32. Tomorrow, another great looking day with mostly sunny skies, a high of 58. We could see some showers on Wednesday, but still just a slight chance of some rain. We'll then climb into the low 60s with more sun than clouds for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Thinking about investing in a hot tub? Great idea. Hot tubs offer relaxing hydrotherapy for tired muscles and stressed minds. But beware, all spas are not the same. At Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, we offer hot spring and free flow spas exclusively for their quality, energy efficiency, and affordability. And we have everything to keep your spa and pool sparkling, clean, and crystal clear. Come see it all at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive, and JackOliverPools.com.
With SRN News, leaders reporting the U.S. government has pulled back part of the sanctions relief it granted Venezuela last year, following through on its threat after the South American country's highest court blocked the presidential candidacy of an opposition leader. The Department of the Treasury gave companies transacting with Venezuela's state-owned mining company until February 13th to wind down operations. A dying thief who confessed to stealing ruby slippers that Judy Garland wore in The Wizard of Oz received no prison time when he was sentenced Monday. 76-year-old Terry John Martin stole the slippers in 2005 from the Judy Garland Museum in the late actor's hometown of Grand Rapids, Minnesota. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 224 points, the Nasdaq rose 172, the S&P advanced 36. More details at srnnews.com.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is courteous and professional. Plus, they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at Franklin Plumbing SC. 799-2222 and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Hi, I'm Karen Pickard. And I'm Katie Griner. Every Tuesday at 8:30 to 9 a.m., we'll be talking about issues that concern seniors and their families.
So join us right here on The Point Radio for the Positive Points on Aging, brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
You want to remodel. Actually, you need to remodel. I'm Eddie Springer of Treycal Builders, and with us, remodeling is easy. Whether it's your kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, or even the whole house that needs an upgrade, at Treycal, we'll help you every step of the way. We do first-class work quickly, cleanly, and affordably. Call 360-8211, 360-8211, or visit TRECALbuilders.com. Treycal Builders, quality from start to finish.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
As you welcome the new year, we invite you to celebrate with Palmetto State Armory, your go-to destination for all your firearm and outdoor needs. Whether you're a seasoned shooter or just starting out, we've got you covered from handguns and rifles, ammo and optics, and more. We offer a vast selection of top-quality products at unbeatable prices, and our knowledgeable staff are always ready to assist you in finding everything you need. Visit Palmetto State Armory today, either in-store or online, and let us help you make this new year one to remember. Happy New Year from all of us at Palmetto State Armory.
Hi, this is Joel Lurie. I'm the host of Health Matters every Monday morning from 9 to 10 right here on 100.7 The Point. Join me as we talk about issues impacting your health and our community. It's Health Matters every Monday at 9 a.m. right here on The Point.
All right, a couple of quick things, then back to your phone calls. 888-898-2525. Net rankings for state teams going into the week. Clemson is 28. USC is 50. Charleston is 115. Furman 144. Hang on, Chris, we'll get to you in a minute. Winthrop 166. Wofford 202. Citadel 251. PC 304. Hang on, Chris. Upstate 306. SC State 321, Coastal Carolina, there you are, 325.
There we go.
And Charleston Southern 328. And let's see, we did that. We talked about that. Keep in mind, I see people misconstrue this a lot. Just wanted to clarify. When it comes to voting, when you see a team like in South Carolina's case today for the AP ranking, they had 108. And some people say 108 votes. No, they had 108 points based on the votes that they received. So when somebody votes you 25th, you get 1 point. They vote you 24th, you get 2 points, and so on through the ranking. So South Carolina had 108 points today, and they were voted as high as 9th. 24 had them in the top 25. Dick Vitale voted the Gamecocks 25th. 39 voters did not put them in the top 25.
Must be the same people that voted them dead last in the SEC.
Probably.
It's preseason. You know, it's so ridiculous. And it goes back to what I said a few minutes ago about what the Gamecocks and Tigers, the challenges they face from national people, i.e. selection committee, voters, and the like. The AP voters are obviously surprised, to say the least, that the Gamecocks are actually good this year, and they don't want to admit they made a mistake and have been making a mistake here the last couple of weeks. You put South Carolina's resume and add, I don't know, North Carolina's name to it, and they're ranked. Oh, wait a minute. That would be a 17-3 North Carolina team that is ranked.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that the Gamecocks are nearly as good as the Tar Heels are. They deserve to be in the top 5, but that gives you an idea. I think there are 15 teams in the AP top 25 that have a worse record than USC does.
Yep. And you look at the current standings in the SEC, the top 5 teams, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, Auburn, Kentucky, all 5 are ranked except South Carolina, who's third there. They're ahead of Auburn and Kentucky in the standings. Auburn's 16th, Kentucky's 10th.
Well, take care of business this week. We won't have this conversation. Former Clemson and USC assistant coach and Middle Tennessee State longtime head coach Rick Stockstill going back to his alma mater, Florida State, to work in an off-the-field position there, according to footballscoop.com. Okay, back to the phones for a few minutes, and then we'll hear from Shane Beamer right around the corner, and then recruiting, Triple T in Columbia. That's what his friends and family call him, and those are few. The rest of us know him as the ABM, the Angry Black Man. ABM, welcome in.
Good afternoon, good evening, whatever you want to say.
Yes.
First of all these folks stop the shenanigans about the Clemson basketball game. Brad Brunell lost that game. You had the ball with 2 minutes, 7 seconds. There's no reason for you to call timeout. Put somebody on the ball and everybody else man to man, find a man. You're not going to get the call in Duke. Brad Brunell lost that game. Stop it, fans. Let it go. Next thing I want to say about the NFL. I'm sick and tired of any time a team get an interception and all of them run to the end zone and celebrate. That needs to get out of the game. I'm saying the same thing with the touchdown. And what caused that guy to, when he got the pass, Flowers, he stared the guy down and get a 15-yard penalty. The NFL need to clean it up. It's just a clown show now. That's the reason why I don't watch NBA basketball. I'm saying this anymore. So I'm saying this. I'm getting to the point I don't want to watch professional football no more because it's a clown. It's a show. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. So, what it is, look here. Tell Carolina fans, stop telling them put Shane Beamer on the hot seat. Carolina ain't going to never make the playoff. You got to be in the top 12 next year. And I'm going to explain to everybody. The 4-power conference going to get an automatic bid. Then the Power 5 going to get 1. Then you got 7 at large. The SEC not going to get 14 in the playoff. So stop saying Mississippi, LSU, all of them not. So it's going to be the top 12 team make the playoff. Okay? That's the way it's going to work, folks. See you down the road. And like I said, Clemson and Florida State better keep their butt in the ACC to be able to make the playoff. Because if they go to SEC or the Big Ten, they can kiss it goodbye, buddy. They'll never make it. See you down the road. Triple T, Trash Talking Tiger. Hello.
Thank you, ABM. Great stuff. I like it when he gets right to the point. Let's go to Ron up in Greenville. Ron, good evening. Welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Great. Great to have you with us.
Good. Phil, you've never seen me mad, have you?
A couple of times after some games, I've seen you a little irritated. But what got under your skin this time?
That Duke Clemson game, I got mad. Sure, and I watched it. I'm watching it right now. The Brad Brunell show on CBS, Channel 7. But the guy walking right before the shot. I mean, guy, you got to call that. You got to call that. Then maybe call wasn't foul half court. I don't know about that one, but there was a lot of calls both ways that probably shouldn't have been called. Well, I know Duke went to the foul line. The last 7 times they had the ball, they shot 13 foul shots. That's not average. Oh, hey, you still with me?
Yeah, we're listening.
Okay, but, I was pretty mad about that. But not as mad as I was today. I called the ACC and I complained about that.
You did not. You did not.
I did. So much they hung up on me.
You go get them, Ron. You go get them.
Yeah, when I did the radio, I never could get that mad, but now that I'm not doing it anymore, I can let her rip.
All right, Ron. Good hearing from you.
Okay, and I appreciate all the Clemson guys calling in, complaining about that too.
They have been. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I think he got through to Jim Phillips.
I don't know.
Who did he call at the ACC
he
office?
Just call 1-800-ACC. We got a whistle. You don't. I guess that's what he called.
Maybe
you
he
know?
got a hold of a former colleague of ours, Kevin Davis, who former
Oh.
SID at Coastal Carolina. You know, Kevin's now working for
Yes,
the
he
Atlantic
is.
Coast Conference.
Kevin's like,
Maybe
I
he
didn't
got in
sign
touch
up
with
for
him.
this. I didn't sign up for taking calls from Ron, angry Clemson fans. I didn't sign up for this. All right, we've got to jump in here, and I want to play the Shane Beamer for you because when football coaches talk, we like to listen. Then we'll do some recruiting. We'll try to squeeze in some calls here at the very end. But let's go to Shane Beamer. After he introduced his newcomers, something they do every year at South Carolina during one of the home football games. After he introduced the mid-year enrollees, he met with the media downstairs in the bowels. I mean, we were deep in the bowels of the CLA, and he talked about what he was looking for in his new special teams coordinator.
Somebody that can make us even better than what we've been already. Kind of what goes back to when I first hired Pete, and some people said, well, you're a special teams guy. Why wouldn't you do it yourself? And I said, well, I didn't feel like I could hire the best person in the country. I would have, and I felt like I did with Pete. If the thing continues to trend like it looks like it's going to, I feel like we've made a grand slam hire potentially with what I was looking for, somebody that could make us better. I certainly thought about doing it myself. We had different ways to structure it, whether it be me doing the special teams myself or breaking it up amongst the staff and hiring another defensive coach or hiring an offensive coach or whatever can make us better from a football standpoint, recruiting standpoint, offense, defense. I'm looking at everything. And in the end, I just felt like to this point, I've only interviewed 2 people for this special teams position. So it wasn't like I was going to cast a wide net just to hire a guy. It would have to be somebody that I felt like was a grand slam hire. And if I was able to make that, then I would hire a special teams coach. And if not, I would look at plan B, but I don't think we're going to have to do plan B. And plan B is okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. I just felt like plan A was a little bit better.
Find the Beamer Ball moniker excited candidates or intimidated them?
Excited. I think anytime you're a special teams coach, you want to, if you're going to be a special teams coordinator, you want to be with a head coach that emphasizes special teams. And people know that I do. You know, I kidded Pete when he was here. Like, Pete got more meeting time and practice time than anywhere that I've ever been. And that included working for my dad. So that attracted a lot of people. And what we've done as a coach, that excites you, being able to go somewhere where you've got a great tradition, reputation, whatever you want to call it, and then having a chance to, be involved. And then, you have your head coach's backing.
A year ago, you brought in Dowell, who had plenty of NFL experience. What does it mean for a group of kids when they know a guy is coming from the NFL and is coached at the highest level?
Well, that would be hypothetically speaking, because we hired Dowell. We've got some NFL guys, but I think anytime you bring in a guy with NFL experience, to me, they're a fantastic coach. There's great coaches at the college level. There's great coaches at the NFL level. But if you're a veteran from the NFL ranks, you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you wouldn't have lasted that long. The knowledge that you're able to bring, it helps from a recruiting standpoint, that these guys have been at the level that you all aspire to get to as well. But I think it's easier said than done, because a lot of NFL guys, they've never recruited before. Sterling Lucas had never recruited a day in his life. And when we hired him from the NFL, and he's been fantastic for us from that standpoint. So you may be a great NFL coach, but if you can't relate to 18 and 19, 20-year-old young men, or really 16 and 17 in recruiting, and you don't have the ability to recruit, I don't care how good a coach you are, it's hard. So to me, it's finding that balance of guys that can recruit, relate to younger players and people, and love the grind of recruiting, or want to learn about the grind of recruiting, and then can help on the field as well.
Hey, Shane, with Nick Auburn, his track schedule, what's his work like?
Yeah, Nick's been awesome. He came to us and was like, I want to be a track athlete. I want to help us win a championship in track, but I don't want to miss out on anything football wise. So he has been awesome. It's not like he just goes to track and then we see him every once in a while. He's involved with football every day. Now, we're smart with his meets. He's out in, like I said, in Arkansas right now. He's out in Arkansas. We didn't have him here yesterday morning doing bear crawls and sled pushes as well, but he wants to be in the meetings. He wants to be around the football team. We had a 6 a.m. workout 2 Mondays ago that Yeah, it's been awesome. It really is. And I meant what I said out there, just recruiting. I go into high schools and the impact that our men's team had their win the other night. Watched so many players. I was at a high school in Alabama yesterday, and the high school basketball coach told me that he texted his team in the middle of Dawn's game and said, if you're not watching this South Carolina women's basketball game right now, stop what you're doing and turn the channel and put it on, because it's high-level basketball. So many people across the country have respect for Dawn, have respect for what Lamont's doing, have respect for just Gamecock athletics in general. So it certainly helps when everybody's winning and we have environments and atmospheres like this in this arena. It's a win-win for everybody.
Did you keep Hunter from running on the court?
I did. We were trying not to get trampled ourselves, and I pulled him out of the way, and I was having to hold him back. He loved it, but what an awesome night that was, and it helps to know people that have good seats down there and happen to be out of town and give them to me.
Now that you've seen the group of transfers working some, how do you feel about them overall?
Love them, and not just saying that. And they've made us better. It's I think, Phil, there's a maturity about this group that you can tell already. Not that we were immature last year, but it's a very mature group. It's a hungry group. We do game captains during the season. So the coaches decide on who the captains are going to be each week. And then at the end of the season, we let the players vote on captains, who the permanent captains are. And of our top 12 vote getters off of last year's team, I think 7 of them are returning. When you talk about Debo Williams and Boogie and so many of those guys. So we got a lot of leadership coming back. And then these new transfers, there's a maturity and a hunger about them that has already made our team better in workouts and on and off the field.
All right, Shane Beamer, as he talked with us on Saturday, all of it's up on our website. That was most of it, but all of it's on the website, SportsTalkSC.com, and also, of course, up in podcast form, where we keep our podcasts on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you can put a podcast. I think that pretty much fills up the podcast venues. We'll hit the break and come back with some recruiting, and then wrapping up. I think we'll have time for a final call or two. We'll do our best to get to them back after the break.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, it's hunting season in South Carolina this fall, and folks need to be prepared from a legal standpoint.
That's right, Phil. Everyone always needs to buy their hunting license or fishing license. Everyone always worries about losing their license. Well, now that's not a problem anymore, because you can keep your license on your phone. That's right. Go Outdoors SC. It's an app. Look for it on your Apple or Android devices. You can buy your license. You can renew your boat registration, and it's all right there on your phone. Remember, Go Outdoors SC in your app store.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
When trouble comes like the accidents do, we all get sick and the bills pile too. There's only one number that can help see you through. And if you're healthy, here's what you should do. Call 605-7905. That's the number that you need to know. 605-7905. $0 deductible. What's a deductible, you say? That's the price you have to pay before the insurance will say we'll help you. They keep the number out of reach because they know that you won't reach that number because they know you're healthy. 605-7905. $0 deductible. 605-7905. Area code.
All right, recruiting time brought to you by Seawells. Hey, the very best in the catering business. That is Seawells. Boy, they've been doing it for so long. I mean, they've been in business so long, they could have been the caterers at my bar mitzvah back in 1969. But we didn't know about Seawells in Latta back then. We had south of the border, you know. But
what else did you need?
and that was family run, so I'm sure we got a discount. But you don't have that kind of luxury at your fingertips. So you need to call Seawells to come and handle everything for that special occasion of yours. That phone number is 803-771-7385, online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. And, of course, the daily lunch and buffet off and running this week, Pat, 11 to 2. And I know we got a big week ahead of us left, Tuesday through Friday.
We do. Seawells was actually closed today, but they're reopening tomorrow, the 30th, with carved turkey with cornbread dressing, barbecue chicken, and then fried fish nuggets. Wednesday, southern fried chicken, pulled pork, and this, I don't know if I've seen on the menu before, teriyaki glazed salmon, which sounds fantastic. I think you'd like to say fresh caught in the congaree,
In
right?
the congaree, yeah.
And then Thursday, this has my name all over it. Fried pork chops, shrimp Alfredo, grilled hamburger steak, and onions.
Oh, fantastic.
You can put gravy on all that. And then closing out the week with a roast beef Friday, along with southern fried chicken and baked flounder filet.
Can't beat it. 11 to 2, only $14 at Seawells across from the fairgrounds. All right, recruiting this morning. Defensive tackle Isaiah Campbell of Durham, North Carolina, 6'5", 265, announced his commitment to Clemson coming off the weekend, but he actually had committed a couple of weeks ago silently to the Tigers. And he had 16 sacks, 27 tackles for loss last season. He is ranked this way by the recruiting networks. Rivals 4-star, 98th nationally, 5th in his position, 3rd in his state. 24/7 has him a 4-star, 72nd nationally, 5th at his position, 4th in his state. On 3 has him as a 4-star, 79th nationally, 7th at his position, and 3rd in his state. He gives Clemson 11 commitments in the class, 2nd for the interior defensive line. Earlier Sunday, the Tigers picked up 2 offensive linemen, offensive guard Jalen Beckley, 6'4", 290 out of Addison, Texas, and offensive tackle Braden Jacobs out of Buford, Georgia, 6'7", 310. Beckley was offered by former offensive line coach Thomas Austin, and then when Matt Luke came on board, he jumped on him quickly. The 2 hit it off, and it went on from there. He is a 4-star by Rivals, a 3-star by On3, a 3-star by 24/7 Sports, which didn't have anything on him as far as a ranking until after he committed, which makes you wonder about these numbers, but I'm sharing them with you.
And that's son of former Giants great running back Brandon Jacobs.
That's correct. Well, no, I'm getting to him. I'm still
bad.
talking about Beckley. Beckley is ranked 30th, 34th, and 29th by the networks at his position. Now to Jacobs, 6'7", 310. He is the son of the big the big strong running back Brandon Jacobs out of Buford, Georgia. Clemson offered last summer, and he was in to see a game in September. South Carolina was among his other offers, and he is a 4-star by the networks. He is ranked. His best ranking is 103rd by Rivals nationally. and his best ranking within his position is number 12 by rivals as well. Offensive tackle Matt Waldrop of Phoenix City, Alabama, was at Clemson Saturday. Very good visit. Enjoyed visiting with Dabo Swinney and the new offensive line coach. He has also been to Auburn, plans to go to Alabama this weekend. Long snapper Gunnar Yoakum of Philip Simmons accepted a PWO offer from USC. He's a young man who's a cancer survivor and was granted a 5th season of football eligibility prior to last season by the high school league. You might remember us talking about that. Running back Neil Salvage of Charlotte accepted a PWO offer from the Gamecocks. White Knoll linebacker Jaden Kimball committed to Kennesaw State. Receiver Stephen Collier of River Bluff was at Florida Saturday. 2028 running back Michael Martin of Christ Church was at Florida State over the weekend. USC offensive coordinator, quarterback coach Dowell Loggins was up in Findlay, Ohio today to visit with quarterback Ryan Montgomery, and USC is in the top 12 with receiver Caleb Cunningham of Ackerman, Mississippi. I'll do it for recruiting. If we can move very quickly, we can get a few seconds in from Keith in Camden. If he can go about 30 seconds. Keith, you got 30.
Hey, Phil, real quick, and then y'all can comment tomorrow. You take before the Arkansas-Kentucky men's basketball game, what was our ranking then, and how, I think you said it was 50-something this week? So
yeah, I think
explain that.
Yeah, they dropped from one day to the next. They dropped like 2 spots in the net. We'll have to figure it out tomorrow, but for now, have a great night.
UXL Columbia W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The battle between Democrats and Republicans over southern border security continues. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries referenced the impending impeachment